Hello everyone, and welcome to Discussions in the Afterlife. I'm Jim.
I'm Colleen.
Today we're going to talk about titles in the afterlife, and I'd like to explain just one thing. The name of this channel, Discussions in the Afterlife, is a very apt description of what we do. Yes, we do talk to them, we do ask questions to the invisible people, our dead relatives, but so much of the information we have comes from their discussions amongst themselves in the afterlife. Today's story is all about titles, but we would never have started on titles if they had not used them amongst themselves. So that's kind of where we're going with today, Colleen.
Right, and this subject began years ago when, the invisible people referred to me as Immortalita Girl.
We will discuss an interesting quote too at the end of this video, so hang in there for a little while for us.
Okay, so years ago we did a study, and I was asking about Bubba's title, our grandfather, and I asked what was Bubba's title, and somebody said Big Jimmy. And in a study that was done later, on different occasion, with the same question, what was Bubba's title, someone said Mr. Jim.
And at one point too, a few years back, I was at work at the Tiki Bar, a restaurant I owned. It was primarily a summer gig, so I needed summer staff terribly. And one year I was starting a spring with no floor staff. It was awful. And out of nowhere, perfect timing, a young lady by the name of Audrey showed up. And we became good friends, and she was just such a wonderful help. Colleen and I asked about her during a study. And her title, they gave her a title, or they claimed she had a title, Audrey the Lost Paragon. Audrey the Lost Paragon. I don't know what it means, but that's what they're using for her. Down in Volcancito in Panama, one winter, we heard about a king. That there's a king that's ruling over us Finnegan people, and I don't know whoever else is associated with us, but we were warned, don't ask about the king, Jim. Jim, stay away from that subject. And we take warning seriously, so we don't ask about the king. But last year, if you've been watching these videos, you would know this. We found out we had a relative by the name of Abdul. And of course, he's a big shot in the Middle East. He was a trader in the mid-1800s, around 1850, 1860. And we were told that he's either is or going to be the king. Again, this king thing. I thought we were all past this king business, but apparently not. Also in Volcancito, we heard that someone was called the elevator. All right, now you hear the word elevator and you assume that it's mechanical, it's a machine, it's a box that goes up and down in a house or a building. But no, they confirmed the next study that the elevator is a title. It's a person. And when I was asking about this elevator, a woman downstairs on the first floor of that house in Panama, she said, what has eminent soul? And that kind of makes sense, because if the elevator is a person who is elevating people, bringing them up, he would have to have, or she would have to have, eminent soul. It's really a neat comment.
Right, I think of that as that motivational speaker, somebody who kind of rallies everybody up to go out there and, do their best. You kind of walk away feeling elevated.
Right.
You're ready to go. But so more recently, I did a study here at my house, and I just kind of wanted to double check on some of the questions we had asked in the past.
Years ago.
A long time ago, just to see if we would get the same answers. And I asked, what is Jim's title? And actually 2 men said something. There was a man in the kitchen and also a man in the music room who said, he's a clan marker. They said clan marker.
And a clan marker is what I was called years and years ago. We don't know much about it. They won't tell us. They won't explain much to us.
No, and years ago when we did ask, they never gave us an answer. So I thought, oh, that might be a good question. Maybe someone in the crowd now might be allowed or willing to answer that. So they just repeated that he was a clan marker. And then I asked, what does the title do? And by the powder room, a woman says, sometimes Jim do last minute everything, which he kind of does before he leaves this house. He kind of runs around and gets everything done. And then in the kitchen, a man says, he tells you what to do. And on the landing, this man says, it's the same title as last year. Like we're supposed to know.
Does titles change every year?
Could be. Some titles might change.
Maybe.
So then I wanted to know about our grandfather, and I asked, what was Bubba's title? And in the kitchen, a man says, he was called Vectors. And on the landing, a man says, Bubba's title wasn't clear. And then there's this lady upstairs that says, Backbone.
I like that one.
I do too. To me, he always felt like the backbone.
He was the backbone.
And then I asked what Bubba's job title, like a job description for that. And in the kitchen, a man says, that serves men. And on the landing, a man says, transformation.
Both very good. Serves men, which is a leadership position, and transformation, which is another leadership position. So they both make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But at one point, Colleen asked lately, how long has she been called Immortalita Girl? That's her title. It's been her title for, gosh, what, almost 10 years?
It's been a long time since we heard that.
Yeah, it's been
And
awful.
they repeated it over the years.
Yeah,
it wasn't
so,
like we heard it one time and never again.
Yeah, they've confirmed that title over and over and over. So last week, Colleen did a study and she asked, how long has she been called Immortalita Girl? 4 different people say a very, very long time. But the curious thing about that is, what's the definition of a long time in the afterlife? We don't know that. We know time is really funny in the afterlife. We've talked about that in past videos. But we don't know. We don't know the answer. We're going to keep searching for the answer. But the difficult thing about these questions are they're technical. And not everybody knows the technical answers in the afterlife. It's difficult for some of these people. But, I mean, Immortalita, if you want to have some fun, look up the Latin definition of Immortalita. You're going to get all kinds of synonyms for it. Immortal, eternal, everlasting, undying, deathless. It just goes on and on. She's a big shot, ladies and gentlemen. I think so. But we're going to do that quote in just a minute. But overall, yes, there are titles in the afterlife. Not everybody has them. It's probably just leadership positions. I don't know. They won't tell us what these titles mean. We even have a Grand Finnegan. Somebody's called the Grand Finnegan. We don't know who it is. Maybe it's our grandfather. Maybe it's our great-great-grandfather. We just don't, and they won't tell us. We're not allowed to know everything. Kind of sucks.
Right.
But,
it's almost like a Grand Poobah.
yeah, Grand Poobah kind of thing.
Big, important person.
Absolutely. But so they won't tell us what like Immortalita Girl means. I mean, it's kind of obvious. Sure, it's cool to live forever, I guess. But it's not in the physical sense. This is like in the afterlife sense. She's Immortalita Girl. But my title, not so much. I don't know.
Well, your title's clan marker. And, if you sit back and think about that, it could be like, I don't know, you're a flag bearer.
Maybe.
Or maybe you could be leading a parade.
Maybe like a cheerleader or something, right?
Right, exactly. I can see you doing that.
I can't see myself doing that. But here's an interesting quote we got during this last study. Well, actually, it's the end of March. We did one. And Colleen here in this house asked the house to ask her a question because we're always quizzing them. We're always asking them questions. So she took a turn and asked the house to ask her a question. And a very interesting, a woman over by the powder room came back with a really interesting reply. And I'm going to quote the woman. That might hurt the rules and regulators. By asking Colleen a question, the woman says that might hurt the rules and regulators. This is another subject that we've been working on for a long time. It's what is the rules in Afterlife? Who is there?
Who's making them?
Yeah, who's making the rules? Who's
enforcing them?
Who's enforcing the rules? Yeah. Exactly.
Who is that? What's their title?
Yeah, what's their title? Ladies and gentlemen, subscribe for us, please. Like this channel, share this channel. Let's get this channel going. I need all the above. I need all your help. Thanks very much. We'll see you next week.
See you.